Hi. So you should already know that your computer's set up ready for Logic Pro to be launched. And at the bottom there is of your screen, this is my screen at home, which has a lovely sunset of somewhere in Italy that I go to quite often. So off the bottom of the screen there is this bit which is called the taskbar, and there's a number of things I've got on my taskbar. And on the school computers, there's this little, down the right hand side, there's this little line here. If you right click on the line, you can click on turn hiding on, and that will make it go so that it goes off the screen. It's quite useful because you end up with a bit more screen. And then you need to find the Logic Pro icon, which looks like this, and you left click it. Now it'll bounce up and down. It'll produce this small box. It might ask you whether you want to create something you've done before or whatever, and I'd like you to create a new empty project. It might not actually go to this, so we'll click OK. Now you're going to need to ask Mr. Rogers about how to get to this stage, because this is what is called the advanced tools mode, and once I set your computer up it will do this. So once you get to a stage, this stage, then you'll know what to do. Now you'll need to know about these three kinds of track. So here is the software instrument track. That's ones that you can highlight and then play on your keyboard, your music keyboard. Your audio kind of track, where you can record like I'm doing with a microphone. Or a drummer track, which is a specific kind of track for drum tracks. We're going to use mainly software instrument tracks, so you'd need to select this one. Now a little bit further down in this dialog box there is a thing here saying number of tracks, and let's put in 3. So you'd highlight this bit and then you'd press number 3 on your computer actual keyboard, and then you'd click on create, which is on this side here. That will then give you 3 tracks. You can drag the bottom of each of these just to make them a bit bigger. Now then, I'm going to show you just a little bit about the way around Logic Pro. Now first of all, let's just talk about this. This thing here and all the way along here is called a track. And at the moment we have 3 tracks: track number 1, track number 2, and track number 3. And we can record using the instruments that we load into these tracks. So for instance, this one's a classic electric piano track. Let's click the right track. And you'll see that it's this one that's recording because there's little green lines which come up and show you what's going on. And that will record anything if you press record, this line will move along like this, and it will record into these bars, and then you can stop the recording and it will play back whatever you've recorded. Then you can move to the next one and you can record either something with what you've recorded before or record it afterwards, and then you can edit anything you record. So to choose sounds, you click on a track, you click on this grey area here. If you click on other things like this, these little buttons, then everything does a little bit. This does something. There's all sorts of stuff. If you just click all over the place or press the keys on your computer keyboard, that will also get in the way of doing stuff. So I'm going to put a different sound into this track. So what I need to do is to make sure both of these up the top left are switched off. So I need to have this far left one, which is called the library, on. And the library has a whole load of categories on the left hand side. And then in each one of those, so if I went to the piano category here, you'd see I've got all those different pianos. If I go to the drum kit category, I've got all those different drum kits, and they all make different kind of sounds. So let's go to the vintage electric piano category, which has this. So if I click on Bright Suitcase, you can see that it changes the sound here to Bright Suitcase. This is what Bright Suitcase sounds like. If I change it to this one, it has a slightly different sound. And maybe to this one, it has a slightly different sound. I quite like this one. Let's leave it on that. Then I'm going to play on this next track, so I'm going to select it by clicking here, and I'm going to include a drum kit sound. So I'm going to choose, let's say, retro rock. So it loads in my sound into the track, and that means that anything I play when this is selected will be a drum kind of track like this. And anything I play in this track will be the piano sound that I put on. And then down here, I'm going to load a bass sound in. So I click on my general category of bass instruments, and then I particularly like this Stinger bass. And it loads in the bass sounds into here, and here are my bass sounds. So there we go. So up here we've got a piano. Here we've got drums. And here we've got the bass. Okay. Next we need to know how to do some recording. Now the first thing you need to do is to understand about this thing here, this element here, which is called the transport. So this button here is the play button. You see if I click on that, this cursor will move forward over the various bars, and this one here will then stop. So each one of these, if I just open these out a bit more, do a bit more than that. So each of these are bars. So if I went from here, this is bar 1, this is bar 1, beat 2, beat 3, beat 4, and then bar 2. Bar 2, beat 1, bar 2, beat 3, beat 4, and then bar 3, beat 1, 2, 3, 4, bar 4, beat 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And you can have thousands of bars that way. You can see more bars by clicking this thing up here, moving it this way, which will, you can have hundreds of bars, or you can see just however many you're going to use. So maybe you're only going to use this amount of bars, so you may as well see that amount of bars in your screen. So these are called the zoom. This is the horizontal zoom, and this is the vertical zoom, which will make these things bigger and these things smaller. It's useful to have them like this because we're actually going to use this bottom space here for something else eventually. Next thing you need to know is that here is the metronome. Now you'll notice if I press play, you get a clicking sound. Okay. Now if I click this, then when I press record, which is this red button, the cursor will move back to 4 and give me what's called a count in, like this. And then I can start recording here, having had a good old count in. So let me show you. I'm going to play, let me just get up a keyboard first of all. So here's a little keyboard so you can actually see what I'm playing. Now I'm going to play using this note, which is in the middle of the keyboard on my keyboard, and I'm going to play this chord. So it's these 3 notes. Bottom one, miss one out, play one, miss one out, play one. I'll give you a little diagram of this maybe. Now, if I start at bar 3, if I click these two so they're purple, then I press record, you'll see that this will flip back to bar 1, and then I'm going to start recording at bar 3 again. So I'm just playing that chord of C, like down here, and then I'm going to press stop. Now you see I've got a bit of space at the beginning. The reason for that is I started a little bit early. I'm going to do that again because I don't really like it. So I'm going to select this bit. You can unselect it by clicking anywhere here. Then you can select that and press delete. I'm going to try and play really accurately on that first beat. I actually want a 2-bar count in, so I'm going to click here. I'm going to click on this. This is the count in, and this is the actual count that the beats all the time. And I'm saying I want 2 bars, so I want it to go back to here, not just there. So here I go, record. 1, 2, 3, 4. and then I'm going to stop. So now that will play back exactly what I've done. So if I move the cursor back to here by just clicking in this bit here and press play, you can see what notes I've played down here, and then the fact that I've stopped. That was an email that's just come in. Now then, I think probably that's enough for now. So to recap, what I'd like you to do is to load in some tracks, change their sounds, have a piano kind of sound here, a drummer kind of sound here, and a bass kind of sound here. Try and record in this C chord, C, E, oh, let me just put it on this track, and record 4 chords like this at bar 3. Get used to having this turned on and off. This is the count in, which you'll want. You can adjust the count in by clicking underneath here. It's not letting me do it, is it? Maybe you have to right click it. So you can have any number of bars counting. 2 bars is quite useful because it gives you time to settle. And then this keeps the clicking going, which is quite useful too. This is play. This is stop. This is record. If you want to press play and stop on the computer keyboard, you just have to press the space bar. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm pressing space bar now, and I'm going to press it again to stop just before bar 5. And if you want to record, rather than pressing this red button, you can press the letter R on your keyboard. So I'm going to do that here. So I'm going to press R. It'll give you your 2-bar count in. And now you can start recording now. So that's the end of this particular tutorial.